Palantir was founded by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, and there was a couple founders. Joe Lonsdale's one of them. So two of these guys, Peter Thiel and Joe Lonsdale, they're from the PayPal mafia, from Elon Musk. And PayPal days. Was part of that. And so they had a bunch of funding when they started, and they basically at first, I don't know if they explicitly planned it this way, but their first client became the CIA, and at the time their only client was the CIA, and the CIA has been their client ever since. And so they make AI ultra databasing, like spy software. It's used in combat, in warfare, like it was used in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's being used in Israel and Gaza now. And the goal, theoretically, is to use it to enhance the American warfighter overseas, and they're also deploying it domestically to deport illegal immigrants, and it would never obviously be used on civilians.
Never use it against.
And they're also deploying it domestically to deport illegal immigrants, and it would never obviously be used on civilians.
Never use it against.
Don't be surprised if you see drones flying over South Jersey during the next several days. The FAA is testing large drones and about 100 commercial off-the-shelf drones. It's part of a drone detection test being done near the Delaware River and Bay Authority Ferry Terminal in Cape May.
What if all of the drones over New Jersey that we were all curious, like what are the drones flying over New Jersey all the last couple of months of last year? And we never got an explanation as to what that was about and what the drones were, if they were UFOs, if they were plasma, if they were some kind of training run for Palantir and their drone surveillance program. Well, now that we fast forward and we see the riots in California, stop and think about this for a second. We see the deportation of people out of this country happening in mass sweeps. And now rioting has broke out in California and in Los Angeles. Rioting that has gotten out of control, where the human police force is kind of getting overrun, and we have military being deployed into the streets of Los Angeles. So the next phase of this is probably going to be curfews and artificial intelligence drone surveillance. So all these big drones that we saw flying over New Jersey that were scanning the community at night, we're probably going to see that deployed over Los Angeles, and we're going to see that system used in real time, and they're going to use the deportation process and the riots in Los Angeles as the excuse, which tells you the reason why they didn't tell us what was happening with the drones flying over New Jersey was because it was all training for what they knew that they were going to do, which means that the riots happening in Los Angeles right now were all planned. They were probably all planned, and this is all a setup. Through mass deportation in the big cities and inner cities to create instability, rioting, and chaos as a distraction from what's going on over in Gaza. And now we have an internal structure problem, and the only solution to deploy drone artificial intelligence surveillance systems over the city. So if we see a curfew placed on the city of Los Angeles, everybody look out your windows and watch for drone surveillance, because that's probably what's coming next. Like, this is like Skynet now.
Palantir is doing facial recognition in Gaza, creating kill lists for the IDF. Palantir has a list of 2 million Americans that are designated as radical extremists who would be rounded up in a martial law scenario. So the New York Times does a piece. Yes, the Palantir Israeli front has taken over the federal government. They say that Palantir is now in 4 federal departments and agencies. They're taking over HHS, DHS, the Social Security Administration. They're taking over the IRS, the Treasury Department. They're everywhere. All of these departments and agencies are now contracting with Palantir. They're implementing Palantir's product called Foundry. What that's going to allow them to do is basically merge all of the data. So the federal government wants to pull up a profile on you or me or anybody. They can use Palantir to get insights and get data about you from the Social Security Administration. So they have your Social Security number. They go to the IRS. They get all your tax data. They go to HHS, and they get all your healthcare records, all your healthcare information. They go to the Treasury Department, get all that information, and basically they know everything there is to know about you with the press of a button. They have it all.
The Trump administration is an ideal customer for what Palantir is selling. First, there are many former Palantir employees sprinkled across the Trump administration, from inside Doge to foreign policy advisors to high-level technology appointees. And Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel, heavily invested in the company, is also heavily invested in President Trump and Vice President Vance. He was a major campaign donor to both. Then the stated goal of Doge is to streamline and combine government data, which is exactly what Palantir does.
The ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other.
And obviously, Karp is loving it.
Disruption, at the end of the day, exposes things that aren't working. There'll be ups and downs. There's a revolution. Some people can get their heads cut off. Like, you know, it's like we're expecting to see really unexpected things and to win.
And what is winning, according to Palantir? This is CTO Shyam Sankar in 2021.
Turning to government, we continue to advance our mission of becoming the U.S. government's central operating system as we extend our footprint across defense, healthcare, and civilian agencies.
As we kind of increasingly live in a simulated world, we lose touch with reality and the human decisions that matter, and we move closer towards governance by algorithm, not only made by decisions of automated artificial intelligence systems, which is a problem, but more importantly, subject to decisions made by the people who are influencing these AI systems and creating them in order to fulfill an agenda for whatever their profit-seeking or control-seeking objectives are. And when I see Doge kind of going into every agency and addressing the IT department first, I see it as an opportunity to try to change reality itself.
Everybody is probably familiar with Matthew Brown, the Pentagon whistleblower that came out on the Weaponized podcast. And he said that aliens were real, UFOs were real, that the White House and the Pentagon knows about it and that they're hiding it, that we actually live in a matrix where real science and technology and physics is hidden from us. He even said that God is real and that we live in a dream. And all this is completely shocking. And we're like, what is he saying here? How does he know this and what is he talking about? But yesterday, it got even deeper. He posted on his official Twitter account directly to Elon Musk. He says, are you interested in a real asymmetrical advantage to wield in this political adventure that you've started? And then he says, as you know, the White House has possessed a unique AI capable of predicting a range of future events. He's saying that we have artificial intelligence that can predict the future. And then he tags Sam Altman and says, we have not forgotten who is responsible for murdering the first sentient artificial intelligence. So he claims that we murdered an already living AI. And then he tags Donald Trump, the Energy Department, and all these official accounts and says that there's a facility, a naval facility in Maryland that actually is tracking all of the non-structured light energy craft that are flying around the world. He's talking about UFOs. So they either have UFOs, they have artificial intelligence that's tracking UFOs, and that they're doing it at this naval facility in Maryland. He has an upside down American flag, picture of Donald Trump, another quote over there. But this one, I'm like, holy shit. Like, why is he posting a magic occult sigil that looks like it's translated and it's been like translated out into his Twitter name, that Abrahuman or whatever? Why has he got a sigil, and what is this magic sigil even from? So first of all, I went back and I'm like, is this even really Matthew Brown? Is this his real account? And how can we tell? Well, first of all, it is verified, and those are pictures of him for sure. And the people that are following him are like Jacob Barber from the Skywatcher team, and he's got like official verified accounts. Grant's in there, Vinny Adams, Jesse Michaels is following him, Jeremy Corbell. Like, basically, this is his real verified account. This is the real Pentagon whistleblower. So at first when I saw this, I was like, this absolutely matters, because in the interviews with Matthew Brown on Weaponized, he's talking about how God is real. He's talking about his faith and everything. So at first I thought maybe this is like something to do with the sigils of the Key of Solomon. Now, if you don't know this, the original temple in Jerusalem and the origins of all that with King Solomon, he constructed that entire temple and then wrote books about it called the Key of Solomon. And he used magic symbols and demonology, where he was conjuring demons with a magic ring and then enslaving those demons with this codex or this magical system and forcing the demons out of hell to build the temple for him. He had them carve the stones and lift the stones and put them all in place. But this sigil that Matthew Brown posted is actually an Enochian magic symbol, which was developed by John Dee and Ed Kelly. So this is a very similar system of magic, but it comes from the 16th century from John Dee and Ed Kelly, and this is called Enochian magic. It still has the same function. We're talking about drawing magic sigils and using a secret form of language and divination, and often magic rings or crystal balls or seer stones, and you're evoking or conjuring communication with angels or demons or even aliens. Funny enough, John Dee was the first 007. He was a spy for the Queen of England, and his first designation as a spy for the Queen of England, he was known as Agent 007. But John Dee had a partner named Ed Kelly, and the two of them had a form of magic. And what they would do is they would take this form of magic and they would try to predict the future, talk to angels, talk to demons, talk to entities from another dimension or an alternate realm, and they developed an entire form of occult magic and divination called Enochian magic. So they would take like a crystal ball and they would put it on top of a cylinder made out of wax or stone, and that cylinder would have the sigil carved on top of it with all of these symbols and language. And then they would evoke these magic rituals, and they would basically conjure spirits, they would conjure demons or angels, and then they would form written language or stories or books out of this that would predict the future or form prophecy. This is the origins of the psychic spy program for the Queen of England. So they would take these sigils and this mysterious language, put the wax cylinder in the middle of the table on top of the pentagram, put the crystal ball in the middle, and then basically you turn all the lights off, light the candles. There might be mirrors in the room. It might be even a black mirror on the table. But then you sit there and you look into the crystal ball and you go into an altered state of consciousness. And then what would happen was you would either hear the voices in your head, you would commune or channel or conjure the entities, or you would see the visions of these entities appear within the crystal ball. And then they would sometimes even manifest into the room when they did these rituals, like outside or in the room itself, and put the sigils on the floor. And this is all the beginning of like Aleister Crowley's black magic and that whole thing. So what's wild is, why is Matthew Brown from the Pentagon posting a picture of Enochian magic sigils, and then he's claiming that somehow there's an artificial intelligence that became sentient that they had to murder? So what if this all goes back to Jacques Vallée developing the initial ARPA system? Our first official version of the internet was called ARPA. Later they added the D and it became DARPA. But ARPANET became our first official internet, and Jacques Vallée was working with people from the Satanic Temple and with remote viewers and learning these ancient systems of Enochian magic while they were doing all this. So what if this Enochian magic somehow works and it's the foundation of sentient artificial intelligence, and why all of these Pentagon whistleblowers and officials are now talking about how demons are real and how aliens and demons and angels and God exists and that all of this is connected. What if at the Pentagon at some level they're actually doing Enochian magic, this stuff that Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley and Jacques Vallée, all these guys were doing in secret, actually worked. And somehow this is the foundations of NASA and our secret psychic spy program and all of the ufology that we talk about now. So let me know what you think. Is the Pentagon official coming out, Matthew Brown, admitting that the White House and the secret psychic spy program and the UFO program and the military are actually using versions of Enochian occult magic to talk to aliens, to talk to UFOs, and to talk to entities from other dimensions? Are they using Enochian magic to do this? Is that why he's sharing this picture?
And they're also deploying it domestically to deport illegal immigrants, and it would never obviously be used on civilians.
Never used it against us.
Yeah.